What goes on, everybody? So, in case you are wondering, I'm sure you can tell from the thumbnail that we're going to be talking about the 2025 Rogue Invitational, my thoughts on the show. And in case you are new to the channel, or you've been here for the last two episodes of the Deuce Vault Dude podcast, what we got going on over there, yes, I love talking about some controversy. I love talking about God, Christianity, politics. But one of my other passions is the sport of strongman. And yes, I am a competitor. Yes, I love the sport as an athlete. But I also am a big fan of the show. And something I've noticed is that there are a lot of British commentators, and besides maybe Lucas, Alec, and Nico, there's not a whole lot of American voices out there in the sport of strongman. So I'm not saying I'm going to be on that level by any means, but I want this channel to be about strongman as well. So this is going to be a very impromptu, very, very short predictions video, just because it's very last minute. I mean, the show's tomorrow. So, in case you are aware or not aware, it is going to be a 10-man lineup. Well, it was a 10-man lineup, but now they're going to be committed to the 9-man. There have been a recent chain of events, Evan being replaced by Bryce Johnson due to a hamstring injury. And of course, Thor, everyone was very, very excited to see him compete, but unfortunately due to some shoulder issues, he's decided to back out of the whole show. He will be there for the deadlift, so that's going to be exciting. I mean, half door and deadlift, it's a fun thing to predict and see, but unfortunately it's a shame to not see him in the whole show. But for the whole show, yeah, there is about 6 events. There's going to be 3 per day. It's a 2-event show, and yeah, they're starting off with some pretty heavy hitters, some exciting, cool stuff. When it comes to the first event, I believe they're going to be doing the 18-inch axle deadlift. So if I'm not mistaken, there is going to be a cool replica of something that was in World's Strongest Man history. For those who may not know, this guy named John Paul was very famous for saying there's no reason to be alive if you cannot deadlift. So the deadlift that he pulled on, that's exactly what the guys today or tomorrow are going to be pulling on, which is really, really cool to see. So it is a replica / they have the original parts. So we're going to see how that's going to look and how it's going to go. In no particular order. I do think Half Thor is going to pull the most because he is going to be there to pull. I don't know if they're going to be going for the record or what the jumps are going to be like exactly, but I do know Half Thor has probably 1,060, 1,070, maybe even a full 500 kg in his back pocket. If it comes for the actual show, Hooper, Mitchell Hooper, he's no slacky when it comes to deadlift, so I expect him to be up there. I think Lucas, with his height advantage, is definitely going to be up there as well. And of course, another big puller would be Trey Mitchell, because he literally pulled the same setup at World's Strongest Man. Yes, he was in a suit. Yes, he's doing figure eights, but still a massive puller. Some dark horses, maybe Ray O'Neill. He is the current World's Strongest Man of this year, but we haven't really seen him do anything in the last few months since World's Strongest Man. So again, it's kind of a 50-50. But if I had to see my top 3 in no particular order, yeah, Thor will definitely win the event. But for the actual show, I'm going to say Mitchell, Lucas, and probably Trey Mitchell. Going into the second event, I believe it's going to be the yoke escalator. So a big fun one from last year. There have been a few changes, which, I feel bad for these guys, because last year people were complaining that the yoke was too light, and they went from, I think, 900 to all the way 1,050. So that's going to be fun. And they decided to implement a duck walk into the power stairs. So that's going to be very, very torturous, because I am not a fan of duck walk, and I expect none of the major guys will be either. So we'll see how that goes. But when it comes to the actual participants, who I think is going to do well, again, I think Mitchell, he is very, very dominant when it comes to yoke. So I expect him to blitz through it. I've never seen him on a duck walk. I don't think I've seen anything in particular with him doing duck walk. So, but he's very, very impressive when it comes to power stairs. I don't know how Lucas is going to do in the yoke speed-wise. I do know that, like I said, it's heavier, so hopefully he's able to blitz through that. But I know he's a very, very dominant leg drive person, so I think the power stairs ain't going to be a problem for him. I don't think his height's going to be an issue, especially with only 2 power stairs. But again, 600 pounds for power stairs, that's no fun. I would not like that. Yeah, so after that, I think I might have the Viking press and the yoke mixed up, but I know day 1 they will be doing the Viking press. So again, it's gonna be a cool little setup. I know Jerry Pritchett is the one who has made it and shipped it to Scotland. So with a strongman mind like him behind it, it's gonna be very, very impressive and very, very well built. But when it comes to overhead, Lucas. He is going to win the event. I think it's going to be very, very dominant. I don't think it's going to be close, and hopefully has a good position going into the Viking press, so that's what he knows what he needs to do. Because yes, Mitchell, great overhead presser. I am not counting him out, but it's going to be Lucas, I think. Some other guys, again, Trey Mitchell, a very, very dominant presser, especially with something very static as a Viking press. I think Bryce, he had a very, very good turnout during this year's Giants Live with the Viking press. I'm not sure if he won outright. I think Thor actually might have won, but I think Bryce wasn't too far off. If I'm thinking of anybody else, Thomas Evans, third place, strongest man on earth. Again, an amazing overhead presser. So that one's going to be fun. But if I have to call a winner, it's going to be Lucas. Going to day 2. See, this is why I'm terrible, because I think I got some of the events mixed up. But that's okay, because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's going to be the power drive to start off. Yeah, I think it's going to be the power drive to start off. So what that basically looks like is this giant sandbag / hay bale that the guys are going to have to push into an arm-over-arm sled drag. Last year they had the event, but they had the extra implement of the sandbag. They had to land this little square. A lot of people didn't like it. I thought it wasn't really necessary, just because it seems like, why? Just make the sled heavier and just see what happens. But yeah, last year it did kill a lot of people, cardio-wise. So I don't know exactly how that's going to turn out. But if I think of some of the heavy hitters that weren't really, dominant day 1, I think this is where people are going to start shaking up some points. I think guys like Patty Haynes, Ray O'Neill, Tom Stoltman, who finished last year, I think these guys are going to be stepping up at this event in particular, especially with that, hay bale. You're going to need a very, very large gas tank to finish that with some dominance. So I think Tom is going to, creep back up in the points. I think he's going to make sure that he dominates that hay bale. But I think guys like Patty Haynes and Reno, they're going to dominate the sled drag because they just have the engine to do it. So, yeah. If I have to pick a winner for this one, I think Patty. I think Patty's going to, shock some people. I'm going to give it to Patty. I think Lucas might have a chance of being top 3. If he wants to win the whole show, I think he needs to be in the top 3. But I'm going to say one of the Speedy boys are going to take that event in particular. And then I think the 5th event, I know I'm terrible at this, guys, I'm sorry. The 5th event, I believe, is going to be the overhead press medley, which, again, I think this is where Lucas is going to dominate. I think he's going to win. He's the overpress king. I'm not glazing him, I swear. I just think he's that dominant. But, yeah, so the event is going to be a kettlebell into a dumbbell into an axle for reps. So they decide to forego the second axle like they did last year, but decided to keep the first 2. I don't know if the weights are heavier. Again, maybe you have to look into that. But I do know a lot of people got tripped up on the kettlebell just because it's a very, very unique implement. It's one thing to have it on your shoulder. It's another thing to actually balance it with the lockout. So hopefully it doesn't trip up so many guys this year. Hopefully a lot of guys actually, learned how to manage that implement. The dumbbell, again, I think it's going to be just a cakewalk for a lot of people who already are good at overhead pressing. And yeah, the axle. A lot of boys are going to be made men after that axle because that's going to be heavy. I would say my only hesitation with Lucas is because he has been known to not clean well when he's gassed. But if he's able to overcome that, if he goes into that second gear, I think he's going to come out with a few good reps. Again, Mitchell, very, very prominent with his overhead press as well. I don't know if he's going to split jerk. I think he might just regular overhead press, push press, like he did last year. He didn't need to do the full medley last year, but he did, and it cost his bicep. And he's fresh off some stem cell surgery. So we're going to see if those, stem cells give him some super energy and some, some super creatine, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I think Lucas is going to come in. Tom is also very good at axle. I don't know if he's going to be coming in with the proper headspace to, again, dig deep and push that thing for reps. I don't know. And if I had to think of some dark horses, again, I got to go with Thomas Evans and Bryce Johnson, my fellow Americans, because there's some beefy boys in there, man. I feel like there's a few names I haven't been mentioning either, like Austin Andrade. There's, who else am I missing? That's besides the point. But this is an event where it's going to make or break the contest because there's going to be people who are just gas, not, be able to, rep out that last axle. I think there's going to be people not be able to press the kettlebell right just because of how unique it is. So it's going to be a lot of dominoes that are going to be able to fall for people who want to win the show. So what that looks like, I don't know. I'm excited to see it though. And of course, the last event, you have to have some stones, is going to be the Mon Mez Stones. Pretty cool event. I guess there is some history behind this one. Again, I think it's supposed to replicate, back in the day when they actually had to hand load cannonballs into cannons. So I think that's what these stones are going to look like. And just like how Lucas, Alec, and even Nico have said before, the texture on these stones are going to dictate how successful everyone is. Because if it's like a very, very textured stone, meaning not smooth, the weight's a cakewalk for a lot of these guys. I mean, literally on Strongest Man on Earth, people were able to rep 450, and that was the light stone. But that's going to be the heaviest stone going into this show. So the texture on the stones is going to be a big factor. If it's smooth, we're going to find out because it's just tactile, no tacky. And I think Mitchell can take this one. I think Mitchell is going to be able to be in the top 3. I know some people are counting him out due to his bicep. But if it's the last event and if he needs to do what he needs to do to win, he's going to pull out all stops. So I also think Lucas can win. I think he has the drive to do it, especially if he is like a few places away from winning or a few points away from winning. I think he's going to be able to take it. Of course, Tom Staltman's in there. Like 9 times out of 10, Tom is the stone guy. But again, like after Strongest Man on Earth, after tweaking up his bicep, after I guess going holiday those last 2 weeks, I just don't know if he's mentally in it. I don't know if he'll just be able to flip that switch. We'll see. I'm going to say no. And if I had to think of some other really, really good stone guys, I mean, I haven't mentioned his name like I said, but Austin Andrade, I think he is that beefy stone barrel-chested American that can really abuse those stones, because another factor about these ones, they actually have to walk it to the platform to load it. So that's going to be another factor that a lot of these guys have been training for, but maybe not all of them are used to. Again, because like Tom is great at stones, but can he actually carry it and be efficient? Transitions are going to be key. So yeah, if I had to put a winner, or I guess people who are going to do well in this event, again, I'm going to bring up their names again: Mitchell, Lucas. I'm going to say Austin. I'm going to say Tom. I think that's going to be the top 4 in that particular event. So overall, a really, really big show. I know Rogue is, getting up there when it comes to being one of the prominent strongman shows. It's the biggest cash pool in the sport. So, and from what I've heard for a lot of guys, it makes it feel like a sport. They have the production, they have the arena, they have the crowd. Like, I've heard that it feels like they are the top athletes in the world in that moment. So it's really cool to see that. I know the show gets some flack because they collaborate with the CrossFitters, but I'm like, guys, it's money. It's strongman on the grand stage. Why are we complaining? So overall, I'm excited. If I have to give you my top winner, the one who at least I want to win, who I think has the capability of winning, I'm gonna say Lucas. I think this is Lucas's time to shine. Lucas Haddon has put in the work. He has done all the behind the scenes things that he needs to be doing. And I'm excited to see him take his first major victory in the sport of strongman. He's been second place enough times. He's been third place enough times. He just won America's this past, literally, I think about a month ago. Probably even less than that, maybe a few weeks. So I think he's geared and ready to actually take that first major. The rest of the podium, I'm not counting Mitch out. I know a lot of people saying like, oh, he's coming back too soon. He might be still broken. If he's doing the show, he mentally thinks he can win. So if all the things line up and he just does what Mitch does, I don't see him not winning or even taking second place at the minimum. But yeah, he's definitely gonna be on podium. I will put money on that. Third place, that's where it gets kind of fun. And again, I know I didn't mention his name a lot. I keep saying that. It's like I am mentioning him enough times, but I want Austin Andrade to be on that podium. He's always just a few steps away of being away from podium. He's been 4th place enough times. There's been enough events he's been in where his just gas tank wasn't there. But, I think this might be his time. Hopefully he's able to just be in top placing throughout the whole show. I think he can. But if it's not going to be Austin, I'm going to say Trey for the other 3rd place on the podium, just because, again, there's no weaknesses for Trey. He's very, very known for having a weak grip, and there are no events testing grip in this show. So that's cool to see. we'll just see if he's able to just to stay together during the show. But yeah, so again, put some money on it. I'm going to say Lucas, Mitchell, Trey. I want Austin, but I'm going to say Trey. So that's it, guys. Like I said, this is a very, very informal way of doing my first prediction video on the channel, but I want this channel to be about strongmen as well. Yes, I love God. Yes, I love talking about politics, but strongman and fitness is my other passions, and I want that to be another big factor in this channel. So please like and subscribe if you agree with me, or if you think I'm totally wrong, let me know in the comments. And if this is something you guys want to see more of, let me know. You're probably going to get more of it anyways, just because, like I said, I love talking about it. So yeah, I'm excited. So we'll see. But besides that, God bless you all, and get out of here.